Well, I heard two men talking on the radio in a crossfire kind of new reality show, uncovering the ways to plan the next big attack. Well, they were counting down the ways to stab the brother in the be right back after this. The unavoidable kiss with a minty fresh death breath is sure to outlast this catastrophe. Dance with me, cause if you got's the poison, I've got's the remedy. The remedy is the experience. This is a dangerous liaison. I says the comedy is that it's serious. This is a strange enough new play on words. I said the tragedy is how you're gonna spend the rest of your nights with the light on. So shine the light on all of your friends.
That's right, it's Thursday, and it's 4:35, and so what do we do at 4:35 every Thursday? We have on my good buddy Kevin Scholla, who just does a plethora of different duties. He's a talk show host, he's a announcer, he's a columnist for Breitbart, and he hosts the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Welcome to the show, Kev.
Good afternoon, Eddie. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, man. It's always good to have you. All right. I'm not even going to ask you a question. You just go for it. Tell me what you think. What? Well, let's talk. Okay, I'll give you the premise. Let's go.
In general?
No, I don't want to know about your. I don't want to know about your warts or your girlfriend problems or anything like that. No. Okay. All right. So, looks like the Patriots are having a little hotel problems. Some Seahawk fans or somebody is messing with the fire alarm at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Did you do that? That was broken to me by my 6-year-old today. We were watching the DePaul Providence game, and then I stepped out of the room, and she comes running in and says, "Dad, the Patriots hotel's on fire." And, so she a little over the top with the analogy, but, she'd be good for the mainstream media, blowing things out of proportion.
Oh, sure.
But, they're having a tough week. I mean, Tom Brady's sick, and now they have this, and, of course, the deflated balls, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
So, the Seahawks are just living a charmed life, aren't they? I mean, here they are, the world champions, and no one's talking about them. So they're just kind of taking care of business and getting ready to play.
And Marshawn Lynch, he steals the show. I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
He's not talking about anyone. So
no.
There you go. You got to love it, though, how it gets everybody so crazed. I mean, They go so nuts over it, and he does it every time. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to be the guy who turns him around. I mean, you got a tremendous player, and you have a cast of characters on this team, Sherman and Wilson and so many others, Carroll, who will give you great sound bites, but they're just obsessed with trying to get him, and he won't budge. So it's pretty funny.
Well, I saw something on the internet, and it teased me, and it said somebody, ABC or somebody some lady gets an interview with Marshawn Lynch. I'm thinking, whoa, this is breaking news. Well, let me go there. The only thing it was is he's laid all back in the couch, and she's, well, what are you going to do with this? We're giving you this PlayStation. And so he says, well, what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to give it to my charity thing and blah, blah, blah. I thought, oh, man, I'm going to get something about football here or something. But no, it's just an opportunity for him to share about his charity, and he's going to give a PlayStation to some kid. So he got me. I was like, oh, I fell for it. I thought, oh, somebody really got an interview. I didn't really care what the interview was about necessarily. I thought it was going to be about football. But, whatever. I thought, man, that's a big deal. Somebody actually got him to talk. Well, what do you think it's shaping up like that for game day? I mean, some of this, do you agree that emotions and some of this, what's going on in their lives, what's going on in their head, with the Patriots being under the limelight and kind of a little bit of a bad news thing, dealing with Deflategate and all, you think that goes into the game with them, or you think they're able to put that on the sidelines?
It has to go into the game with them at some respect. I mean, there's no way to just completely put this away because, look, the game is a few days away now, and finally people are starting to talk a little bit about the game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it has been solely about these footballs in a Colt game, in a game that they won 45-7, that they would have won with 40-pound balls. But, I guess the thing is that it's the Patriots. If this was another team, it still would have been a big deal. It still would have been all over. You know how we like to blow everything up in this age. But because of Spygate and past things, and because of the feelings that a lot of non-Patriot fans have for Bill Belichick, I think that's what put it out there, as so crazy. But I think that the people you have to watch more for are those who haven't been there before. I mean, you have two teams here who have a lot of players who have already been in a Super Bowl. But, when you have the new guys on the team, to see how that will affect them, who knows? It could turn out to be a weird positive where, everyone's talking about this and no one's bothering you about your game planning and no one's slipping up in that way.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's not like we haven't seen this before, right? I mean, the controversies in the Super Bowl week, especially when they have the off week like we've had in recent years, we've seen this for many years. Remember Jim McMahon in '85, a helicopter went over New Orleans while the Bears were practicing, and he mooned the helicopter. So, that set everybody off. And I mean, completely non-football. And then, of course, some more serious stuff with, legal troubles and people getting in trouble the night before the Super Bowl and things like that.
Yeah.
So we've seen it before. But, the Patriots are a professional outfit, and you would think that they'll be ready to go. I think Tom Brady's health is really the bigger concern right now.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Sometimes I remember playing football, and it was all these emotions and everything, but after that first kickoff, it was like, okay, you're in the game now. There may be a couple plays had to go, and it's kind of like Manning, I think, said, he goes, you have to be able to weather this. You've got to, we've been here before, and, the first few, you're not doing so well. And the first few couple quarters, and you just know things aren't going right. But if you just keep doing the right things, just keep working it, just keep working. A lot of this emotions kind of settle down, and you can kind of prevail. I thought that was a pretty interesting comment that, by just keep doing the right thing. Don't worry about it. Don't get it caught up in all the hype. Just keep doing the right things, guys, and things will turn around for us. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and I like what you said, Eddie, and I agree with you. I remember in high school, you'd wear the jersey to school on Friday, and you would feel. I would talk to my friend, who I'm friends with to this day, who was my quarterback. We were absolutely sick. Our stomachs, we felt awful. Played for 13 years, still every game. You felt terrible, and then that first kickoff, you get smacked in the face, and then you're like, all right, here we go,
all right,
and you're fine.
Yep.
And the problem is, though, with the Super Bowl, you're sitting around for 2 weeks.
Yes.
The playbooks are so in-depth and so sophisticated, and then you have this throng of media after you. So it's a little different than, those days and on a high school or college level compared to this grand stage, if you will. But I think that, your point is well made that, once you get out there, after all is said and done, after that first smack on the kickoff, it's time to play.
Let's get it on. Yeah, it was like in boxing. I remember people say, "You're nervous?" Well, heck yeah, I'm nervous. I'm getting ready to go get in a ring with somebody that can knock me out, but then, after that bell rang and you started mixing it up, all that jitters and everything just goes away. You're in the game. What else is out there as far as the Super Bowl wise that or want to share with us?
Well, I'm looking forward to a lot of the matchups, and I think I mentioned this to you. The Seattle secondary is just unbelievable, and it reminds me of so many pieces of other secondaries of the past, but with all of the great parts all here in one unit. I mean, everybody knows how Richard Sherman takes away a complete side of the field, and I don't care if he's 70%. He's probably still in the top 10 compared to other corners throughout the league at that level, and he seems to be okay. But the guy to really watch, I think, is Chancellor. I mean, you have this guy, safety, who comes up and can just, he hits like a linebacker or a lineman, but can run like a corner. And it just, makes me think of those Bronco teams of the 80s that had guys like Dennis Smith and Tyrone Braxton. And, you remember Gary Fensick and Ronnie Lott and a lot of the guys that, we watched through the 80s and 90s. And now you have this just amalgamation on the Seahawks of these four guys who just are, it's like a Pro Bowl secondary that I think is something to watch. And I'm really interested in seeing, if Chancellor and Gronkowski get together over the middle. I mean, that's going to be something else.
There's been a lot of talk about that.
But what's interesting, too, Eddie? Everybody talks about the great Seattle defense, clearly. I mean, look what they did last year and throughout this year. And they talk about the greatness of the Patriots offense not only this year, but Tom Brady through his career. So I think maybe what we really have to watch is the other side of the ball for both teams. How will the Seattle offense do, and how will the New England defense do? And, other than the obvious field position and turnovers and what wins most games, I think that may be the two things that could, turn this thing around one way or another.
Who do you think has the I know it's kind of a question with a lot of ambiguity to it, but who do you think has the momentum going into the game?
Well, I think that off week kind of puts that all back on an even keel.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they had such opposite victories in their championship games, but I thought they both worked well for each team for what they needed. Seattle with the dramatics coming back from the dead to beat Green Bay, and then New England, of course, just clobbering Indianapolis to show, look, we are the class of the AFC. But I think when you have 2 weeks off, all of that goes away. If you looked at it from a whole season standpoint, you would probably think it was a dead heat as well. But I think because of this whole ridiculousness with the footballs, you got to give it to Seattle.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, here you are, world champions, the team you think everybody would be shooting for, gunning for. You think they'd be trying to get Richard Sherman to go nuts. And instead, they're not talking about them at all. It's all about New England and the football. So that bodes well for Seattle. So if you had to pick in a dress, Mr. Momentum, I guess you'd say Seattle. But, we'll find out.
You raise a good point about this Oh, shoot, I forgot my train of thought here. Dang it. That's what happens to me. I'm getting old, man. All right. What was I going to say? Shoot. I was going to ask you a question about, was it who had the momentum? It was, dang it, I can't do it. Anyways, let's move on. Let's go to politics. So I tell you what, let's take a break. And then when my break, I might think about my question that I was dying to ask you. All right, Kevin Scholla, Breitbart columnist. He's the host on Mama Grizzly Radio, on the Palin Update. Check him out all over the place. Just check him out on Breitbart. He's always got some good columns there, too.